Hot dog. Okay, I might just play some music here. I'm just playing some music here. I think I'm actually better at the sound bowls than I am the the mini tongue drum. I've got a mini tongue drum here, but I'm not actually very good at playing it, so I think I might do the sound bowls instead. While we wait for some people to join this live, I thought I'd just have a general chat this evening, see what's happening out there in the world, see what's going on. Anybody wants to have a chat? Just in general, really. I'm just playing this sound bowl that I got from Bali. It shows me in the market one day. I could never play a sound bowl before, but I was in the market, I picked up this sound bowl and started playing it. Every other shop I'd walked into it before, I'd never been able to play a sound bowl. I just couldn't get the technique right, but I love this one. I just thought I'd come on and see what's going on out there in the world with everybody. Just a general chat. I had a wonderful communication with a dog today that I know quite well, one of my friend's dogs. Billy and I, so Billy the Boston Terrier over here, him and I went to a friend's house and we're at this cafe, right? No, well, this didn't happen at the cafe. I was at a friend's house and I was sitting down on the porch and Nala, the bigger dog, was a bit further away from me, like too far away for me to pat. And I said, "Oh, Nala, come here, do you want a pat?" And the dog came over to me and instead of like facing her head to me, she faced like her back to me. So I started like patting her just above like her tail or whatever on upper part of her back. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, this is my favorite spot to get patted." And I could just tell that was the spot she wanted. So I patted her for a little while and then she just turned around and put her head like on my lap and just gave me a bit of a look as just to say thank you. Like it was just amazing when you can communicate with animals, you know. They don't speak in words, but you can kind of understand them in a way. Anybody who'll listen, really. I just thought I'd have a random chat with anybody. And I just thought I'd start by telling a story about how I had a beautiful moment with the dog today. Had many moments with my own dog, but oh well. Why take the time to comment then? Anyway, what's going on? Has anybody got any fun stories to tell or anything like that? You're going through a really tough time at the moment. Seeing your beautiful, authentic energy is really refreshing. Oh, that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you very much. Christina Lee. You might not necessarily want to talk about it on here, but maybe it's something that I might be able to help you with. A lot of people are going through a tough time at the moment. Thanks for the follow, Mark, I appreciate it. Yes, there's a lot of thoughts in our mind that cause suffering at the moment, but what I'm learning is that peace really is our natural state of being. And if we can stay in the present moment, we realize that nothing's really wrong. You know, everything's in divine order, despite what our mind is telling us. Anyway, I might play some more sound bowls. What's going on? Does anybody want to share their awakening experiences? Thanks, Christina Lee. Yeah, because we're all from the one source of consciousness, we're all connected. There's no separation between us. When when we are in alignment with who and what we really are, then we feel that connection, you know. The truth is the truth, and yeah, we feel that connection with one another as we're all part of spirit or God. I use the word spirit. I say we're all spirit having a human experience, and we think that we're all separate people, but we're not really. We're all part of the one source of consciousness. Individual aspects of that source of consciousness, divine aspects, but not separate from each other. Hi Tim Will. Not much. I just thought I'd get on here and do a live and see if anybody wanted to have a general chat about, well, I like to talk about spirituality and people's awakening experiences. If anybody's had a near-death experience, I'd be more than happy to talk about that. That's just randomly, but Christ consciousness, yes, we are all Christ consciousness, having a human experience. And once we know that, we actually can create a better world, you know, because we see people who are acting out of accord with that Christ consciousness at the moment in their ego minds, and we see war, and we see poverty, and we see a lot of drama going on, you know, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. Hi Gypsy, how are you? I don't know what let me up means. A few people have come on and said, oh, let me up. I don't know what it means. What's going on? Thanks for the likes, I appreciate it. I got this tongue drum here, right? I'll show you that. It's like a little tongue drum. I'm not very good at playing it, but I'll just do it a little bit anyway. I've got no rhythm, as you can tell, but I do love beautiful sound, you know. Sound vibrates through your body. It's very healing. It's almost like you can hear the, it's a primordial hum of the universe, you know. I don't have any crystal sound bowls, but a friend of mine's looking at getting a set soon. This is the only sound bowl I have. I'll play some if anybody's interested. Am I going to do ayahuasca in Bali? No, I don't plan to do anything like that in Bali. I wouldn't even know where to do that in Bali. No, I'm going to do breath work, sound healing, cooking classes, get some Ayurvedic treatments where basically they drip oil on your third eye, and then they also go down all the way down your body with oil. They give you a massage first, and yeah, it's quite a surreal experience. Yeah, I'm going to write some of my book there and just immerse myself there for a little while in Bali for a month. I've never done anything like this in my life, so I figure now's the time to do it. Hi Truth Gems, you lost your dad in January. I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, I mean, time really does help heal all wounds, but what I realize is the grief starts to dissipate when I let go of the story of basically he shouldn't have died or that shouldn't have happened, but it takes a while. And yeah, my heart goes out to you. If you need anything or feel like I might be able to help in some way, please let me know. We all go through it, I guess, but once I realized that death is not really real and I can feel my dad sometimes, it brings me a lot of peace, you know. But not everybody has those experiences or wants to have those experiences. But yeah, thank you for your comment, I appreciate it. Does anybody want to share their experiences, or I don't know, I just thought I'd have a general chat, see what's going on out there. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it. What's happening in everybody's world? Anything exciting? I just went to see a friend today. Went to an awesome cafe. No worries. I'm glad that you can connect with him. I feel like if we all knew that we were eternal beings from children, the process of losing our loved ones wouldn't need to be as hard as it is, you know, because we are taught that death is final and that's it, that we cease to exist, or that something bad might even happen to us at that point, you know. But what I've learned through my own experiences with my brother and my dad, and also you know, speaking to countless other people, and even looking at people who've had out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, you know, we were here before this body and we'll be here long after this body. And if we knew that from a younger age, then I think we would not necessarily celebrate people leaving this planet, but we would just understand that they're going home and their time here is over. Because I understand that despite the circumstances, nobody leaves this planet a day before they're meant to. Sometimes I think about the day I got the phone call that my brother got ran over by the truck in the driveway, and it would be so easy for me to say that that shouldn't have happened, but I truly understand that he chose to go at that moment. My brother also had an aneurysm when he was 18. I remember he was 10 years older than me, so I was like 8, and I remember seeing like all this blood in the bath, an aneurysm like burst at the back of his skull, and if it was any further forward, he would have been in big trouble. So yeah, he almost left this world at 18, and then he left at 48. But I understand now that we all have exit points that we choose to potentially take in our incarnation. And like I said earlier, nobody leaves this earth a day before their soul chooses to. And once we know that, it can actually bring us a lot of peace, despite the challenging circumstances of losing people from this world. Thank you for joining, everybody. I just thought I would have a random chat about awakening, spirituality. That subject isn't always interesting to people, but it's interesting to me. So anybody who wants to have a conversation, feel free to make a comment, ask a question. Were you going to say something, Truth Gems? Thanks, DW Oz. I appreciate your comments. Yes. Yeah. It's challenging, but I know that I can actually help other people who've gone through the same thing, something similar, because my dad actually suicided 7 weeks later. So yeah, I've got a lot of experience with grief and awakening and questioning what this world is. And yeah, you're not really ready to have an awakening experience when things are going great in your life. It's generally when shit hits the fan that people say, you know what, there must be another way, or they go searching for something outside the material things in this world. You know, grief does teach us a lot, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I kind of feel guilty sometimes that I'm not working. I used to work in the finance industry, but I can't really go back for a number of reasons. I just, once you know too much, just all I want to do is speak and finish my book and hopefully be a spiritual teacher. Well, I don't know, just I want to be a spiritual teacher, but see if people can learn from me first, eh? Grief changes the person you were. Yeah, absolutely. Grief and trauma and all of these challenges, but I understand that my soul chose to go through this, you know, and spirit wouldn't give me anything more than I can handle. And it's almost like I've cried so many tears. I don't have any more tears left to cry, because I truly understand that everything is in divine order. You know, everything is meant to be. the good, bad, the indifferent, everything that we experience in life, as challenging as it is, it's all for our highest good in some way, shape or form. It's hard to believe sometimes with all of the crazy thoughts in our head, but I'm telling you right now, suffering is not required here, even in the midst of deep grief and very painful experiences. Suffering is not required here. Thank you, Truth Gems. Yeah, I wasn't always positive on this platform. I spent a lot of time fighting against the world, resisting what is, getting angry all the time. I had a lot of anger, unprocessed anger, and a lot of trauma that I hadn't dealt with, that I've gone through in the last 5-6 years. I had a Kundalini awakening and told everybody that they were God having a human experience or spirit having a human experience, and not everybody takes well to that. They tend to think that you've gone a little bit crazy. But once we are aware that we're not the voice in our head, we're not the thoughts that are going through our head, we're the awareness of those thoughts. It's almost like if you ask yourself the question, who am I? And then you'll get the answer, me, right? And then you ask the question, who said that? You might get the answer, me, again. But I ask again, who's listening to you say me? Who's hearing you say me? Who's aware that there's a me in the first place? What if that was the real you? What if the voice in your head talking to you, pretending to be you, isn't actually you? What if the awareness of the voice, what if that was you? And what if that was everybody else as well? What if everybody else was part of that same awareness? And the individual self that we all think we are doesn't actually exist. There are other people who speak about this, many people. There's an amazing series on YouTube called The Awakening Minds, which describes awakening and talks about the ego and how you don't kill the ego, but what happens is like, it's almost like you are a cup of coffee and the ego is a sugar cube. And once you realize that you are not it starts to dissolve into the cup of coffee. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but you just don't believe in it anymore. And you understand that you come from love for love, and so does everybody else. And I'm starting to find that I'm having a happier time here, realizing this to be true. I let my judgments go, my resentments go. I let the stories in my mind about what everybody else did wrong and how bad the world is go. And when I do that, I find that peace returns to my mind. And I'd like to help other people find the peace that's always there. It's not like you need to find love. All we need to do is remove the blocks to awareness that love is always present. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Quite right. Yeah, it's just the way I like to describe it. Amelia, what would you like to talk about? You seem to be wanting to get my attention. I'll wait and I'll play some tongue drums. Shall I? Go. Terrible. I've never learned how to play a musical instrument. I gave up at the recorder in high school, in primary school, and I think I might be able to play Hot Cross Buns. That's about it, if you're lucky. 3 Blind Mice, I think would be too much for me at this point. But yeah, I always admire people who can play instruments. I went to a music festival on the weekend, just a little community one there. It was called We Belong Together. And it was great because there was a whole bunch of bands, and Screaming Jets were headlining. We didn't get to see them because we ended up leaving early, but yeah. When you see music flowing through the body, that's God expressing itself through music. What happens when you become awakened to this world? You realize this world is both an individual manifestation of your own mind and also the collective egoic consciousness. So you realize that this world is the ego's playground. It's not exactly a very loving place, but love can be found here. It can be found within. You are love, and all this world lacks is love, really. How can you become awakened? Well, Harry, there's no one that really becomes awakened, right? But if you'd like someone's teachings that might help is Ramana Maharshi. And he teaches self-inquiry, where you basically ask the question, who am I? Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4 seconds. And breathe out for 4 seconds. See if you can get into a rhythm. And just listen to what comes into your mind, Harry. Because first you'll get the answer of me, right? But then just keep asking, say, who am I? And don't just ask who am I, ask what am I? And then ask who said that. And you'll start to become aware that you're not the voice in your head talking to you, pretending to be you. You're the awareness of the voice. You're not the thoughts in your head. You're the awareness of the thoughts in your head. And that's a game changer. It really is. At first it's challenging because the conditioned mind comes back and you go through the dark night of the soul. It's not necessarily an easy experience, but when you come out the other side, you find peace returns to your mind, and it doesn't have to come and go. It's always there. I was thinking the same about playing an instrument. It's a wonderful way to connect with others. Yes, it is. It is. Well, my instrument is my voice. Not that I can sing, but I'm speaking here, so I feel like I'm kind of playing an instrument in a way. I am because of him came to mind. I'm not sure what that means, Nickelback, but thank you for sharing. Does anybody have any questions, or does anybody want to share their awakening experiences? Yes, Alan Watts is a very good mentor. He's an amazing lecturer from, what era was he from? The 60s or 70s, like Neville Goddard kind of era. I love him as well. How would you define the soul? It's very hard for me to define the soul in words because it's formless, it's wordless, it's everything and nothing at the same time. It's timeless, it's limitless, it's boundless, it's all of those words that I've just said can't really do the soul justice, you know, but the soul is something that we're all connected to. You know, we often think of ourselves as having separate souls, but really we're kind of all part of the one soul. Yes, unique aspects of the one soul. It's kind of like when there's the sun, right? Imagine the sun is the soul and you are a sun ray and I'm a sun ray, right? So we are still individual aspects of the sun, which is the soul, but we are unique sun rays which have been projected out into this human experience to have this experience here together. Pretending that we're separate bodies and my name's Tim and your name's Andrew or whatever your name is, right? But that's the game we play here. We play characters here. We have heroes and villains, and we have good ones and bad ones and right ones and wrong ones, and we play that game as part of the dream. But what I found is letting go of judgment of anybody as good or bad or the world as good or bad. That is part of waking up. Radical acceptance of what is. When you accept everything that is in this present moment, with no stories from the past and no particular interest in the future, you've found the power of the eternal now. That's people like Eckhart Tolle talk about, and many other spiritual teachers talk about. The eternal power of now, because I always like to say this, right? The most important time in your existence in the entire universe ever is right now. It's right now. Because everything's actually happening in the now. Whether you're thinking about the past or you're thinking of anticipating the future, at some point it's going to be happening now because it is all happening now. And that can be hard to wrap out what I call ego mind around, our individual so-called self around, because it's challenging to comprehend these things. Good to remember the idea of letting go or removing obstacles instead of reaching or waiting. Yes, what you are, love, light, abundance, joy, is always there, Celestine. It's just that we have blocks to awareness. of it being there, whether it be a resentment for a story about somebody else or the world, a resentment towards somebody, or a resistance to what is in some way, shape or form. It can be as simple as you're upset that it's raining today. That's just resisting what is, and that causes suffering. So letting go of judgment in any way, shape or form brings so much peace. And see, it doesn't mean you can't use discernment. You know, when you're driving in a car, you're going to use discernment. Make sure that you stop at the red light and, you know, make sure you stop at a zebra crossing, stop signs, stuff like that. That's not judging, that's just using discernment. Judging would be saying there shouldn't be a zebra crossing here. Using discernment is just watching and making sure that nobody's trying to cross a zebra crossing when you are. There's an annoying one in the city there where everybody crosses the zebra crossing all the time, and when you're a car, it's very hard to get past. And I used to get annoyed at it. And then one day I was just like, eventually I'll get across, it's okay. But yeah, radical acceptance of what is. You can practice that when you're driving. That's a good one for people. A lot of people get frustrated in the car. Anyway, I'm just having a general chat about spirituality. The Bible says not to judge, right? But people think of that as judging other people or judging yourself as right or wrong, and that's part of it. But not judging is as simple as, you know, not saying it shouldn't be raining today because you're resisting what is, and that is judging. It's very simple. And it's not that you can't judge or you shouldn't judge. We actually don't have enough information to judge. Can you share your words? Yes, absolutely. Acceptance requires trust. Yes. Absolute faith and trust in life. I'm learning that. We have to have faith and trust in life. If we don't, then we're constantly living in a state of doubt and fear. And who wants to live like that? Because doubt and fear don't actually belong in our minds. Want to spread the word of God. Well, it depends what you mean by that, my friends. Because, yeah, tell me what the word of God means to you first. I'd be interested to know. Hi Chelsea, how are you? Yes, I decided to do a random live. I've been putting videos letting people know when I was doing lives, but it didn't seem to increase participation, so I thought I'd just do a random one. No, it's okay, it doesn't really matter, but I'm glad that people are here. Thank you very much. Somebody wanted to share their words about the voice of God, but I'm always reluctant for that because anybody claiming to be speaking the voice of God really is in their ego because, yeah. No, mate, that's not the truth. God doesn't die. There's no one dying for any sins. That's all a lie that the church told you, mate. That's not the truth. That's not the word of God. That's not true, bro. And it's okay if you want to believe it. If you want to believe in death and sin and fear and all that kind of stuff. No, we're not debating. We're not debating, dude. The truth sits and waits to be known. It doesn't need to be debated. So how do we see God? All you need to do is go within. All you need to do is go within. God is love and only love. There's no judgment. There's no death is not real. It's an illusion. Is there a God or are we God? We are all unique aspects of God's source consciousness. So yes, we are God, but we're not in the way that the mind thinks of it as God, because we're God, but everybody else is as well. Yes, but I don't believe in prayer in the same way as people might think, right? Like if I'm sick, I don't pray to get well. What I do is I ask Spirit for answers on how I've created this illness, because what I understand to be true is that illness is created from our mind, and everything that we believe in our mind about illness. So when I pray, I ask to be shown things that I need to be seen and things that I need to learn. I don't pray that I'm going to get more money. I don't pray that I'm going to get a job soon. I don't pray that things are going to get better in my life. I pray for information that I need to learn. I have no religion, Jennifer. I generally don't believe in religion, but I do know God, and knowing is very different from believing. So you can believe something, but if you believe something, you also have doubts. But when you know something, there is no doubt. And in religion, there's a lot of doubt, and I don't do doubt. What do you want to say? I'm happy for you to make a comment, 450. It all comes down to our beliefs. Yeah. J Star, thank you so much for your comment. If you want a better world, start by going within. And the reason why I say that to you is because the outside world is actually created by all of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that we manifest from the inside. So if you want a better world for yourself to experience individually and collectively, go within and start seeing the world through loving eyes from the inside first, and then it will manifest in the outside. So we are our own gods, do you think? Tilsey, yes, but not in a separate way. So I don't know if you were here before, but imagine like God is like the sun, right? And you are like a sun ray called Tilsey, and I'm like a sun ray called Tim. We believe that we're separate, and we forget that we're all actually part of the one sun, the one God. So yes, we are God, but we're all aspects of the one God, the one source of consciousness. That's what Jesus taught. I'm sorry, mate. If you're just here to argue, I'm going to have to block you because I'm not playing. Some people are quite caught up in their dogmatic beliefs and they don't actually want to learn new information. So that's okay, but I'm here to speak with people who are willing to learn and share what they're learning as well. But I'm not going to argue with people about God or what God is or what God should be or anything like that, or argue about Jesus. I'm not here for that. The Bible was written by the hand of man, open to be corrupted. Yes, the truth comes from within. Open your mind. It doesn't come from any books. Yes, the truth can be confirmed and there's information to be learnt in all of the books. But I'm telling you right now, if you were going to read any book, it wouldn't be the Bible. It'd be A Course in Miracles. Because A Course in Miracles will retrain your mind and it will teach you who and what you really are, which is love, made from love for love. Anything outside of that is simply not true. Do we all come to earth to fulfill our own lessons and learn off others to expand our soul? Yes, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head, Tilsey. We do come here to learn and have this experience. Hi, Arafa. How are you? What's going on? Anyway, I'm talking all things of a spiritual nature this evening. Anybody who wants to ask questions or share their experiences, happy to have a conversation. Can we reincarnation? Thank you for your comment or question, Gaspro. I'm not quite sure. Are you asking if we do reincarnate, or asking can you just elaborate on your question a little bit for me, please? Or you just want me to talk about it in general? Yeah, so our mind likes to think of things as past, present, and future. So we think that we're having one life now, and we either had a life previously, or we're going to have a life next time, right? And whilst it's a bit of a paradox, it seems like that's true. We're actually all having our incarnations at the same time. So imagine like your soul as like the head of an octopus, right? and all of your lives are like the tentacles from an octopus coming out, and everything you learn from all of your life experiences, all of your incarnations, which are all happening in the eternal now, get fed up to the oversoul. And you learn from all of your experiences that you have in all of these incarnations. So we reincarnate and we come back and because the energy can never be destroyed, it can only change form. So we merge into what we call a physical body, and then we re-emerge back into that oversoul, like that head of the octopus again. But we do that many times, hundreds of thousands of times, and we're doing it all in the now. So yeah, I don't know if that explained it well, but hopefully it helps, because you can actually see some of your incarnations now in meditation. You can ask to be shown them. You'll be guided. I once saw my brother's head in my closet eyes when I was a kid. Still remember it vividly. Interesting. Can I tell if it was a hallucination or just a spiritual thing? So you said, in my closet. It's hard for me to answer the question for you, but you might have seen maybe. See, we're all multi-dimensional spiritual beings, so you might have just seen him astral projecting into the cupboard or something when he was a kid. That can happen. Kids are a lot more open to the truth than we are as adults, because our ego mind tricks us into believing that we're in this dream and that we're limited to our body, but we're not our bodies. We're so much more than that. We are eternal spiritual beings. We're here before this body and we'll be here long after this body. There's nothing to fear. Everything is all well and good. Everything is in divine order here. How does lucid dreaming work? Lucid dreaming is where you consciously go into the astral realm, I guess, into other dimensions. You go on journeys. You use the Merkaba, which is like your spiritual body, and you travel places. You have an ethereal body as well, not just your physical body. Do you believe we're really made up of stardust? What I've come to understand is that everything we see with our five senses is us experiencing us. So we're not made up of stardust as like a separate stardust. We are everyone and everything. Like everything we see is a manifestation of consciousness in human form. It's like, imagine that you're wearing a virtual headset, right? But the virtual headset is your five senses, and the real you is watching what's happening right now, observing everything that's going on in your life. You are the universe, absolutely. There's a book that describes this well. I'm just gonna get it. Just give me a second. This book called The Disappearance of the Universe will answer a lot of questions that anybody has about the world and the universe and how reality is actually created, because you create your own reality with all of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. We are multidimensional. Somebody asked about psychosis before. How does psychosis work? Okay, look, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so it's up to people to believe what they want to believe. But with psychosis, it's the ego minds in a state of despair, and that's when the ego wreaks havoc in our mind, because the individual self that we think that we are gets caught up in this world, and it can be a challenging place to be. But people often wake up during psychosis, and it causes that because the ego mind comes back and it doesn't want you to know who and what you really are. Because if you find out that the individual self that you thought you were all your life isn't actually who and what you are, that can cause a disturbance in the mind if it happens too quickly, and it can induce psychosis. Kundalini awakening. A lot of people who have Kundalini awakenings end up in psychosis, and they're medicated and changes their life. So yeah. Do psychics actually exist? Yes, they do, but they're just tapping into the quantum field that you all have access to. So not that I'm saying psychics are good or bad. I've had experiences with psychics, which I'll put in my book. I've got a really cool story to tell about psychics if you want to hear it, actually. But I won't just go on a tangent unless anybody wants to hear the story. But yeah, I've got a pretty cool story about a psychic experience that's changed my life forever, to be honest. If anybody wants to hear it. Yeah, I've got some experience with psychics. I've been going to them since I was like 11 years old. I've dealt with psychics who knew things they couldn't. Yes, they know things. They're just tapping into the quantum field, but your destiny can change at any moment in time, which is why you always understand that you're in control of your destiny. I always say we are only experiencing what we are capable of without losing the marbles. See the unseen. Yeah. But for some people it's overwhelming and they do lose their marbles in their ego mind and they go into religious psychosis, spiritual psychosis. It happens to a lot of people, unfortunately, but more and more people are waking up and coming through the other side. A Course in Miracles will help wake people up. But it does it slowly, and it does it in a way that won't induce an experience like that. Anyway, it looks like I'm losing viewers now, so does anybody want to ask a question or make a comment? People shut me down. Is it because... Yes, it's because it's not their journey. They don't want to know about this stuff. People are they're too deep in the illusion of this world, in their ego minds, believing that they're an individual self and an individual body, that death is real, that sickness is real, that this world is a terrible place. And they're too wrapped up in their own mind to hear about awakening or spirituality. Not everyone, but a lot of people, you know. It's okay. That's where they are. You've got to let them be where they are. Not everybody's ready to ascend in this lifetime. Hi. Thank you. I don't know what your name is, but hi. Deep sleep is nuts. You can see through the veil if you don't lose yourself along the way. Yes. Realizing that you are part of all that is, that you are always at peace, always home in the arms of the divine. That's helpful. Oh yeah, no, it's okay. I just didn't know where to go next. I didn't know what to say next, or I'm just kind of really just winging it with these lives at the moment, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. I don't really know, really. Other people come and talk on here, so I might as well as too. I'm not really up for a sing-along, but yeah. How do you deal with the hubby who hasn't awakened but loves you, and how do you move forward in the relationship? Well, look, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to leave your partner because they're not awake or they're not on the same journey as you. You know, it's really something that you can do by yourself, but at some point, you know, the vibrational difference between you two might be so great that there ends up being a separation. But also you can influence others. If you remain in a high state of vibration, then it's almost like others have no choice to join you sometimes. And sometimes you'll find that just something you say to your husband sinks in one day, or he comes home in a good mood or something, and you just because your vibration's high, you help lift the vibration of other people around you. So don't automatically think I need to leave this person because they're not waking up. Just focus on your vibration and frequency and raising that, and then you'll know if there needs to be a separation, but not always, you know, not always, because yeah, there's a lot of love there, and you focus on what you love about the person, you focus on what you have in common, and the things that are not separate, the things that join you rather than separate you, and then you'll find that you will cultivate that. You can manifest a completely different relationship with the person that you're with if you have different thoughts about them. First, I would accept with radical acceptance of what is. You accept him as he is. You know, he might not be awake, but you accept him as he is, and then you look for the good things, you know, and you focus on that, because that's what will manifest. It's challenging, but I've heard people who do this can save their relationships, they save their marriages and everything, because they look at their husband through loving and forgiving eyes. They don't see them, everything they do, that they do wrong, and the things that he, you know, and you'll find that some people completely change their personality unexpectedly because you've changed your views about theirs. You've seen them in a more loving way, and then they can't help but act that way towards you. It's quite magical. I've done it with people I work with and everything before, who I've had conflict with. You're not having conflict, but you know what I mean. Drop the anchors, find your sails. Anchors can be family members. Fuck the anchors, they don't boat. Yeah, I understand that. Sometimes there needs to be a separation, but really, everybody that you see, including your husbands and wives and children, are representations of your own consciousness, right? Because you think about this, right? Every person that you see in the world, your perception of them is not actually who and what you are. Later Astro Songwriter, thank you for joining. Your perception of somebody in your head is your story about them. Their perception in their head is going to be completely different from yours. And both of them are false in a way, because really we're all unique aspects of God's source consciousness, pretending that we're in separate bodies, having separate experiences. And we can play that game here. We need to play that game here as part of the illusion, right? But underneath it all, you realize that the person that you're looking at is just a representation of you, and you're a representation of them. And when you start to see everybody as you and you as them, the conflict starts to dissolve between people. I just did a manifest. I hope it works. Yeah, well, you can be, do, or have anything in this world, Soph. It's just about letting go of the outcome, you know? And know that you don't always get what you want in this world, what your mind thinks that it wants, but you always get what you need. You always get what you're meant to have, and you always get a match to your vibration and frequency. There's a lot of people who do vision boards and stuff like that, and they think that they're going to get wealthy by doing a vision board, but they go to the shop and they say, oh, that's expensive, oh, I can't afford that. They're constantly talking about how expensive the world is. Their vibration and frequency does not match their vision board. You got to go within, man, and change what's going on in the inside if you want to change your manifestations. But anyway, you said something about manifestation. I went on a tangent. That can happen sometimes. Thank you for joining, everybody. How do you lose your ego within situations? Do you take a step back? Yes, you don't try and lose the ego, Tilsy. You just observe the ego, and you stop believing the thoughts coming from that thought system, because you realize that they're not in alignment with love anymore. And once you align with the truth, which is love, you start aligning with thoughts coming from Spirit's thought system, from God, from all that is, from love. And you ignore those thoughts coming from the ego mind, which are negative, or there'll be some kind of resistance in your body when it's coming from the ego minds. So yeah, a lot of people say you need to kill the ego in the spiritual community. You don't do anything like that. In fact, if you try to kill the ego, it'll only get stronger. And that can actually induce mental challenges when you try and take on the ego, because the ego is a very powerful thought system. It's the very thought system that brought you into this world. So this is not really a comedy channel, Charmaine, but thanks for your offer. I'm speaking here about consciousness, about spiritual awakening, about knowing your own divinity, knowing how powerful your thoughts are, realizing that you are more than your body. You're more than your job, you're more than your gender, you're more than this one life. You're a multi-dimensional being. It's very powerful creator. You're creating a whole life experience and contributing to the very experience that we all collectively experience here. Do you believe we have guardian angels? Yes, we absolutely do. Lol, coward. Yeah, it's a coward who comes and trolls people in their lives. It really is. So I'll see you later, dude. 12 followers. Wow, I'm following 12 people. Okay, goodbye. You're always going to get some nasty people in this world, but it's okay. Normally I give them a chance to move on, but that one I was just like, nah, you can go. Anastasia Beaverhausen, I'm very good, thank you. How are you? I'm talking about all things spiritual this evening. I just thought I'd have a general chat, just talk to people. Sometimes I like to do a subject, you know, like last time I spoke about fear of the future, because we all have fear of the future, but we don't need to. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. What's been happening in your world? Don't say happy birthday to random people I don't know, Amelia, but enjoy being spirit, having a human experience. Today I had a wonderful experience with a dog, right? I had a beautiful dog come up to me today, and she came up to me, and instead of putting her head, I said, oh, would you like a pat? She came up to me, and instead of putting her head up to me to pat her, she like turned around, and I was patting like the back of her, like just above her tail, like just above her bum kind of thing. And I got a message from this dog saying, oh, this is my favorite spot for pats. And I said, oh yes, I heard some dogs like, big dogs like bum pats. And she said, oh yeah, everybody always goes for my head, but this is my favorite spot. And I said, okay, I'll pat you here from now on first. And then she turns around, puts her head on my knee, because I was sitting on a chair, and just kind of looks at me and just kind of gives me a little cuddle with her head. It was so cute. Hey, I did a video about it. Oh, thank you for the gifts, Jenna. That's very nice of you. Not a lot, been up and down. My beautiful dog passed away in January. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, the grief will be there for a while. Oh, wow, thank you so much, Jenna. That's incredible. Thank you very much. It's very, very nice of you to do that. Yeah, it's hard losing loved ones, animals. Hopefully you've been able to connect with your beautiful dog in some way, shape or form. I hear some people, when they lose their cats and dogs, they feel their dog on their bed, or they hear their dog, or they smell their dog sometimes. So yeah, hopefully you've been able to connect with your pet in some way, shape or form, with your dog. It's only hard if you don't understand. Well, yeah, a lot of people don't understand. They believe death is real, and we go through a lot of challenges here. You might not remember me, but I've been on here for years. Yes, oh, Jenna. I'm sorry, I can't remember your, I don't recognize your name or profile picture instantaneously. I'm sorry, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. There's a lot of people who've been supporting me here for a long time, but I've had over 35 accounts banned. So it's hard for me to remember everybody sometimes. He's given me a lot of signs. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's important that we share these experiences with people, you know. Sometimes we feel like we're going to be judged if we talk about our dogs coming to us in spirit, or we talk about our loved ones talking to us or speaking to us. But the more we talk about this, the more we speak about this, the more normal it becomes, you know. Because it's the truth. Death is not real. Death is part of the illusion. Once we all know that death is not real, it brings a lot more peace to this world. It really does. Who gives me signs? My brother and my dad. I haven't had any for a while because they're kind of busy, you know, like they're off doing things. My brother and my dad. Oh, sorry, you were talking to Anastasia Beaverhausen. Her dog gives her signs. Her dog died recently, in January. Her dog gives her signs. So my eye got a bit itchy then. It's getting a little bit, oh, it's only 8:30, 20 to 9. Thank you for joining, everybody. We're talking about all things spiritual here. About waking up, about all sorts of things. What's my favorite number? I don't have a favorite number, Michaela, but what I do is I love seeing alignment numbers. So like 111 or 1111 or 111, those sorts of things. I love it when that happens with numbers. So yeah, that's what I think. But I don't have a favorite number in general. I don't know what frequency this is, Skull Dogs, but I'm just going to say that it's 432 hertz because it shows me in a market in Bali, and I really like it. You know, Nikola Tesla said we need to start thinking of the world in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration because we are energetic beings, we're electrical beings. You know, they say a lot of people, and I used to believe this too, right? That we're not affected by the stars or the alignment to the planet or anything like that, but we actually are. And at the moment, the reason why it's getting hotter on this planet is because more light codes are coming to the planet. The sun's getting stronger with information, frequency information. Light is information, and light codes are blasting onto this planet at the moment, helping wake everybody up. Yes, raise the frequency. That's right, we're not separate from creation, Skill Dogs. We are creation itself. We are made from love for love. We are all part of everything that is. I'm you and you're me. There's no separation between us at all. Oh, hang on, I've got to do this puzzle. Happy now, TikTok? Hello, can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Oh, are you needing some attention, Athena? What's going on, darling? What's going on in your world, eh? You having a good time of it here? What's happening? You are made from love for love, Athena, and suffering is not required in this world. So thank you very much for joining. You are speaking with Tim. We are all spirit having a human experience. I am you and you are me, and everything is in divine order. You certainly did, Jazz. You certainly did. Genguard. Yes, I've never left. I've been here the whole time. For 6 years. No, this is alive. Sparky. It's me. I'm on here live. You want to ask a question? You want to make a comment about spirituality or... yes, we're all part of the one soul. One soul, or unique aspects of the one soul. God, source, universe, whatchamacallit. Anything you want to call it. You can call it anything you want. It's just a word. Words only point towards the truth, but the truth is formless. God is formless. God is wordless. God is everything and nothing at the same time. God is boundless. God is limitless. God is timeless. God is everything. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent then, but you know what I mean. I love knowing these things, you know. There's no religion required. There's no judgment. There's no sinning. There's no sacrifice. That's all part of that religious dogma. We don't need to worry about that anymore. We can just speak the truth that we are all unique aspects of God, and once we know that, we can actually embody that and live that experience. It's challenging at times because the ego mind comes back and calls that person over there a bitch. But really, that's not true. That's the story that ego mind is telling you because the ego wants to increase separation. It doesn't want you to become one with, know that you're one with everything and everyone. It prefers to be separate, but that's okay. Let the ego do its thing. You don't need to fight yourself. That's what the Course in Miracles teaches. Never, ever, ever fight your own mind. You don't need to fight your own mind. All you need to do is sit still and become still. They say, be still and you will know God, right? What that is just quietening your mind enough to listen to the thoughts in your mind and realize that you are the awareness. You've always been the awareness that was here when you were in the womb, the awareness that was here when you were a little baby, before you became a name, before you became a job, before you became a mother, before you became a sister, before you became all of the labels that we put on ourselves. God is within us. We do not need to seek outside of ourselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's wonderful to have like-minded people here who understand that we are all part of God's source consciousness. For anybody else who has a question or a comment, I'm happy to engage with you. Hi Lacey, how are you? Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Very nice of you. I've really enjoyed this live so far. It's only 8:45, so we'll continue going if anybody has a question. Otherwise, I might just go on a bit of a tangent, a bit of a monologue, as they say. I like to do that sometimes. When I was little, they say I could talk underwater, because I realise now that it's just when you're in the flow, you know, allowing the words just to flow through, you know. If I just take me out of it for a little while and just let the ego aside, that's when I find that the information flows through, and I enjoy the live and I enjoy the experience, because my ego is out of the way. Sometimes the ego gets in the way. I used to do lives and then end them pretty quickly because I was too nervous, or somebody would come along and say something nasty to me and I'd go off or whatever. But I've come a long way in the last 6 years. Anybody who's been following me for a long time knows I'm a completely different person from what I was when I first came on here. And that's what A Course in Miracles does. It retrains your mind into a more peaceful place, a more loving place, into knowing who and what you really are, which is love and peace and joy. Doesn't mean your life is perfect and there's no challenges, but when those challenges come, you are able to face them in a way where suffering isn't required. And you enjoy the challenges in life more, because you realize that you're here to learn, and that ultimately, no matter what terrible things happen in your life, ultimately you are okay. You always will be okay. You always were okay. There's nothing wrong. Just our mind always tells us that something went wrong in the past, or something's going wrong now, or something might go wrong in the future. Nothing could be further from the truth. And all you need to do is not believe those crazy thoughts in your mind. And that's from your ego mind, which is always upset about something in the past, resisting what is right now, or telling yourself that something bad will happen tomorrow. You know, one of my favorite things that my dad taught me, right? He used to say there was a sign at the pub, Timbo, that said free beer tomorrow, but nobody ever got a free beer. And I didn't get it at first. I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, tomorrow never comes. Like every time they go to the bar to get a free beer and they say free beer tomorrow, well, it's always tomorrow. So there's never a free beer. You know what I mean? If you're always waiting for tomorrow for things to get better, there is no tomorrow. There's only now. Oh, thank you, Anastasia. I appreciate your compliment. I do recognize your profile picture and your name. So yeah, I know that you've followed me for many years. I appreciate you saying that. One of the early ones, I reckon, from 2020 or something like that. I had over 35 accounts banned on this platform because I was saying some pretty crazy things, but now I understand that it was me fighting against what is, and I needed to learn all those lessons to be where I am now, and to do this live and to be speaking here. Thank you so much for the share, Parker. Appreciate that. Very nice of you. You know, Jesus taught us that the kingdom of heaven is within. And it's so true, right? But we don't realize it because we're always looking for happiness or joy on the outside in the world. But it comes from within. It really comes from within your own mind, and then it's manifested without, you know, and you see it manifest in the outside when you're in a peaceful place on the inside. Oh, thank you so much for the gift. That's very nice. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for sharing my live as well. Very nice of you, Parker. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking? I feel like we're all going through a collective ascension here, and there are many beings waking up and speaking truth from spirit. It's not their truth, you know, it's not my truth. It's just what is true, you know. When I say that we are made from love for love, that we are love having a human experience, somewhere in your soul that resonates to be true, and it doesn't come from me. It comes from somewhere else. It's not actually mine. Hi Kylie, thank you. I realize that as soon as I claim something as my truth, then I'm in my ego mind, because it can't be mine. It has to be everybody else's as well. Charles, we are all spirit having a human experience, and there are spirits who choose not to come into form and choose to stay formless. And you will attract whatever beings around that match your vibration and frequency. So yes, there are plenty of benevolent beings that you can talk to, and people who can help you out in the spirit world. Yeah. I did a video because a lot of people are afraid that demons are going to come and get them and stuff like that, but they don't realize that the only way that demons can come and get you is if you are a vibrational match to their frequency. If you're watching a lot of horror movies, or you're in a state of constant depression, or you're constantly believing negative thoughts, that's when you can attract other entities with a like-minded frequency. So all we need to do is pay attention to our thoughts and not believe any of the negative or hateful thoughts in our mind. We'll raise our vibration and frequency to our natural state and attract beings of a like-minded frequency. You know, it was amazing when, well, I like to call Jesus Yeshua, because I've come to understand that I've been in this world many times, as we all have, and I've come across the teachings of Yeshua before in other incarnations. And Yeshua told me about Doreen Virtue, what actually happened with Doreen Virtue, that she got tricked by her own ego, right? So Doreen Virtue goes and tells everybody that they're sinners and they need to repent for their sins, and Jesus is the only way. But it's just her own ego tricking her, and that's what the ego does. It looks for a way to separate and to judge, and it often does that in Jesus' name. But Yeshua taught that judgment is not of God, and that he didn't die for our sins. He actually was teaching us that we are all innocent here, and that when we judge ourselves and other people, that's all that sin is missing the mark, is not understanding who and what we really are. Choosing fear instead of love, that's all a sin is. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you've done anything wrong. It couldn't be further from the truth, you know? But religion tells you that you're a bad person and you're a sinner. You know, it's not the truth. Anyway, I think I lost my train of thought now. I've been on here rambling for an hour and a half almost, so yeah. Does anybody have any comments or questions, anything they want to ask me, anything they want to talk about in terms of a spiritual nature? I can tell you some things that I've learned through my awakening process. We're all at different stages. We're all at different stages of the journey back home towards love, right? Because that's where we're from. This place that we live in is not our natural home, but it doesn't mean we have to have a terrible time here. We chose to come into this world of separation to experience what it would feel like to be separate from God, even though we can never really be separate from God. But it's kind of like the prodigal son story, who left home to go on at his own adventure. And at some point he gets weary and decides he wants to return home. And that's when you're ready to wake up. And you return home when you're in form. You realize that you've never left home. You realize that you are spirit, and your spirit is at home. At home in the love, in the arms of God. Yes, spirit does have a sense of humor. Definitely. It was funny when I was at the cafe that I went to today with my dog one day. I got him a puppuccino, and my dad's like, "Oh, you yuppies and your puppuccino." It's exactly what he would say when he was alive. He thought yuppies had puppuccino. Thank you for joining, Zoe, and asking the question. God, it's hard to express God in words, right? But if you imagine God like this, imagine God is the sun, and you and I are a sun ray. It looks like we're individual sun rays called Zoe and Tim, but we are actually both part of God, the sun, God's source consciousness. So who and what we really are is God, or what I refer to as spirit, having a human experience. So hopefully that answers your question. Does anyone have a message for you? Carly. Yes, Carly, I've got a message for you. You are a powerful creator. Everything that you experience, you have created with your whole being. You are consciousness. You are not your body. You are spirit having a human experience. You were before this body, and you will be long after this body. And there's nothing to fear here. That's my message for you. Oh, there's lots of sirens where I am. Yes, me too. What sorcery is this? No sorcery, Raj. I just want everybody to know how powerful they are. That you are a powerful being made from love for love. You actually have the same powers as God. Do you believe that non-human experiences are possible or even common? I'm not quite sure what you mean by non-human experiences. Do you mean like beings that are not in physical form? Or are you talking about alien, or what we call alien beings? But yes, consciousness comes in many forms, and consciousness is actually formless. No, I'm not Christian. I do know Christ consciousness, but I'm not Christian. I don't subscribe to the beliefs that Christians subscribe to, as a general rule. There's some things that we have in common, but no. No. I know God, but I don't subscribe to being Christian or Catholic or anything like that. No. I could have just said no, but yes. Anyway. What's going on, people? I just like to have conversations about anything spiritual, about awakening, about those sorts of subjects. Not everyone's cup of tea. Most people like drama or something like that, but I'm all about peace at the moment, because there's a lot of drama in this world, and I think that's the more peace and love we can bring and anchor onto the planets, the better we all are. I used to get pissed when people say, I attract my experiences, especially if they're crap. Yeah, I know. It's so hard to believe sometimes. You go, well, why would I do this to myself? Why would I bring illness upon myself? Or why would I bring financial ruin upon myself? Why would I create this for myself? You know, but once you let go of that, the resistance, and you just know that you created it for a reason that you don't need to understand, that's when you can learn from any of your experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. What are my thoughts on spirit guides? Thank you for your question, Sasha Bumbles. I just did a video before about being guided by spirit. It's as simple as this. You're always being guided by spirit. Whether you want to call them separate spirit guides is up to you. There are people who have come in conscious contact with their guides and teachers, and they know them as separate beings. But I just refer to everything as spirit, and the reason for that is because I'm retraining my mind out of separation. So I know there are unique beings that are from spirit, that are expressed as individual aspects of spirit that we call guides as individual guides. But I tend to experience it as just a collective spirit consciousness, if that makes sense. Yeah. But, you know, some people say that Bashara is a spirit. I mean, Jesus is a spiritual guide, you know, but there are many other ascended masters, you know. Ananda, which is bliss. You know, Ananda is an actual being, right? And Jesus hangs out with Ananda. And Jesus is part of Ananda, and Ananda is part of Jesus. And it's quite amazing to understand that all of these beings are all part of one consciousness. They're separate, but not separate. It's a bit of a paradox. But yeah, the mind can sometimes struggle with that because it gets wrapped up in the illusion of separation. But that's all right. This live is for people who are ready to rise above the battleground, and it's about getting out of non-duality. Light and dark, good and bad, right and wrong, this and that. All that kind of stuff, you know. Would I start a retreat for people in Australia? Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to start a retreat, Chrissy, but I would definitely consider hosting one at one point or something like that if I ever got to that stage. Rumpelstiltskin. Well, Rumpelstiltskin, see, that really is trying to influence free will and trying to change the world for what it is. You can create any future that you want, and any time that you envision a future in your mind, and even word to spells, you know. But, you know, I've studied witchcraft since I was a teenager, and it's just another religion. It's, you know, I'm not going to say it's kind of kindergarten stuff, really. It really is. I don't mean to be rude or anything like that, or diminish the religion in any way, but that casting spells and stuff like that. No, we don't need to do those things. We don't really need to do those things. My home attracts dark spirits at night. I feel I have to rebuke shit every night. Okay. Zoe, I need to ask you, what thoughts are you having in your mind, right? Because you are saying that these spirits are coming to you, right? But what I explained before is if you are having negative entities, you need to look at what you're consuming in terms of television, news, all stuff like that, and the thoughts that you are believing in your mind, because the only way that you can have experience with negative entities if you are in a lower frequency and vibration yourself. And that's not a blame or a judgment thing on you, Zoe. It's just about managing your own mind, your own frequency and vibration. You raise your frequency and vibration, you look at loving and positive things, you nurture yourself, you give yourself love, then you won't be a match to any of those beings anymore, and they won't be there. You don't need to rebuke them or do any sage or anything like that. In fact, the more you push against them, the more you attract them into your life, because you make them stronger by giving them your energy. You're giving them power. Don't give it to them. They're not real. They're only in your minds. They don't need to be there. And I know that they're real, that you're experiencing that. I'm not denying that you're experiencing this, but you don't need to experience it. You had the power, not anybody else. Not in spirit form, not in human form. Once you know your own divinity, Zoe, you won't be in fear. It's fear that's attracting them, my friend. So raise yourself out of the vibrancy of fear, and they won't come around anymore. No worries. Hopefully that's been helpful. I'll stop rambling now. But yeah, thank you for asking the question. I really appreciate engagement on here, people asking questions and making comments. I know that I'm not just talking to a brick wall or just engaging with a few people who want to come troll and stuff like that. Or yeah, I'm getting the right people on here now, I think. Jess, sorry I just stopped on this. I want to know what I can do to help push my spiritual awakening. Okay. One thing I would suggest, Jess, is you don't need to push anything. Because if you try to induce a spiritual awakening before you're ready, it can have negative consequences on your life. And I'm not saying this to scare you, right? But if you want to wake up, you just you sit down, you meditate, you breathe in for 4 seconds, and you ask to be shown. Say, can you please wake me up? And Spirit is kind. Spirit will wake you up gently. And you say, please give me whatever I'm ready for. Just say, please give me whatever I'm ready for, and let all the resistance go. Stop trying to push for an awakening. You'll wake up exactly at the right time. Your soul planned exactly when You are ready. So let go of the resistance and it will happen. That's my, yeah. The you that's trying to push for an awakening is actually creates the opposite. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Let go of the pushing. And I would suggest that you look at doing A Course in Miracles. It will induce your awakening over a period of time. You do the lessons one lesson a day for 365 days, and you will induce that awakening, and it will retrain your mind towards love in a gentle way, because you try to do it too quickly like I did, and it can cause some challenges. So yeah, no worries. Yes, trust the process, absolutely. That's all we need to do, is trust the process. Everything is all in divine order, everything's well. I've enjoyed this live so much, I think I'm going to upload it onto YouTube for anybody who wants to watch it afterwards. I have a YouTube channel, there's only 10 subscribers, but at least there's some there. So not many people will see it, but that's all right, I'm going to upload it anyway, because yeah, I really enjoy speaking tonight and answering questions and engaging with people. Hi Trey, how are you? I'm listening to understand because my beliefs are evolving at the moment. That's okay, Tilly, I appreciate it. Yes, it's wonderful to come to a point of questioning your beliefs, Tilly, because what happens to your beliefs is they eventually turn into knowings. And what I mean by that is when you believe something, that implies doubt, doesn't it? It believes, in that belief, there might also be doubt that what you believe is not true. But when you know something, Tilly, there's no doubt in that. And when you come to know how powerful you are, you come to know your own divinity, you'll never doubt that again. You'll never doubt yourself. You'll never doubt that you are made from love for love. So yeah. Yeah, powerful words. Yeah, there's no need to be afraid. Everyone's okay. Oh, Rumpelstiltskin. What's going on, dearie? Casting spells, are we, darling? That's funny. You know, you can never be hurt by anything but your own thoughts, Rumpelstiltskin. Just remember that, my friends. You can never be harmed by anything but your own thoughts. There's nothing here that can harm you. Unless you believe that to be true, my friend. You ever seen The Skeleton Key? What's The Skeleton Key with Goldie Hawn's daughter? What's her name again? I was going to say Kate Winslet, but what's Goldie Hawn's daughter's name, please? Kate Hudson. Love Kate Hudson. Forgot her name, but love Kate Hudson. I have trouble remembering I am my own worst enemy sometimes. We all are, Jess. We all are. That insane voice talking to ourselves in our head, pretending to be us, is all our worst enemy. It's the ego mind, but it's okay. The ego doesn't need to be your enemy. You love thy enemy, as Jesus would say. You love your enemy, including your ego mind, because it's not your enemy. It brought you into this world, and it protects you from a lion if it's chasing you as well. So, yeah, I understand that the thoughts in your mind can seem like you are your own enemy. But just pay attention to your thoughts and stop believing those thoughts, and you'll find that the enemy starts to get a lot less power. From love, for love, are love. Yes, Trey. True. To Luca, yes, Jesus is a wonderful being, as are we all. Jesus is an older brother, but he's no better or worse than you. You know what I always like to say? Everyone's shit still stinks in the morning, including Jesus when he was here. So, you know, it's all good. Yes, Jess, you know, some people might be further along the path of so-called enlightenment, which is really just, you know, enlightenment is just another word for awareness, right? But it doesn't mean that anybody is to be idolized. You know, when Jesus said, do not worship false idols, he was including himself, but they forget that sometimes. Anyway, enough about that. No point rambling on about it. Thank you, Trey. What's been going on in your world? You've been having a good week? Thank you for joining, everybody. There's 45 people here now. Must be intriguing some people out there. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Yes, I've been practicing opening up my heart more, Anastasia, doing more lives, offering one-on-one conversations with people. I'm not charging anybody to talk to me. I just want to see if I can help people. And then at some point, maybe I'll be able to earn an income from doing that, or people might want to buy my book or something. We'll see. Organized religion, yeah. We don't have time. Organized, no, we don't have time for organized religion. And nobody got time for that. And nobody got time for that. No, look, there's truth that can be found in religion. The religions all point towards the same truth. You are God, basically. So yeah, that's what I'd like to say about religion. But people get all wrapped up in who's right and wrong and your God versus my God, all of those things. What a waste of time, eh? Yeah, religions can be fun to learn about. Do we all have guides, or is that not true? Yes, we all have guides, Jess. I just refer to guidance from spirit because all of our guides are just unique aspects of spirit. But you can have conscious contact with your individual guides and teachers as a part aspects of spirit. If you go into meditation and ask to be shown, they might come to your dreams, or they might come in some way, shape or form. But yeah, we all have access to guidance from guides and teachers from spirit. I just refer to everything as spirit because there's no separation. We're all part of spirit, if that makes sense. And it reduces confusion too, because it's like, oh, well, you know, my guide's telling me this, but your guide might be telling you something else. But really, the information's all coming from the same place. If it's from love, if it's from love, then it's all from the same place. It's all from God's source consciousness. Thank you, Amelia. Appreciate you saying that. I learned all this from studying A Course in Miracles and through years of meditation. I started meditating in 2017 after listening to Abraham Hicks, a teacher called Abraham Hicks on YouTube, who helped me a lot back in the day as well. Came across a video on YouTube, Jason Stevenson, show me what I can't see. That would be ideal. Don't know that person, but yeah, there's plenty of people who are providing helpful information out there. My guides whisper, roll their eyes at me, for fuck's sake. That's funny. Miracles are incredible, yes. Can I help you get a miracle? Thomas. Mate, if you want to create miracles, do A Course in Miracles. Nobody can create a miracle for you, but they can help you realize that you are your own miracle worker. You can actually create your own miracles. You just have to know yourself, believe in yourself, know your own divinity. That is a miracle in itself. This book's called A Course in Miracles, which you can get on the internet somewhere. The art behind you is beautiful. How does that inspire me? What I love about this is if you actually look into it for too long, it'll trip you out quite significantly because you'll get a visual representation of reality, you know, because when you re-emerge into non-physical, into all that is, or you have an experience with oneness in the physical body, you realize that you can see in 360-degree views and you are a part of everything and everyone. And that behind you just kind of reminds you, even for a moment visually, how freaking cool the universe, how freaking cool consciousness is. So yeah, that's what I love about it. I just got an inspiration to put it up again the other day. I haven't had it up for ages. So yeah. Oh, Amelia. Thank you for sharing that. Happy tears, I hope. I'm not involved in religion, Amelia, but all religions point towards the same truth, that we are made from love for love, and that we are all part of God's source consciousness. Some religions will tell you otherwise, but that's not the truth. The truth is hidden deep inside the religion, and all religions, words only point towards truth, but words don't teach, only life experience does. And religion will often put you in a box, and God does not do that. So yeah, thank you. I hope everyone finds true love. Amelia, true love is always there. True love is what we actually are. We don't need to find it. All we need to do is remove the blocks to awareness that love is always here. Love is always there. Love is inside. Always present, always connected. You're always connected to love. My parents tell me I'm a miracle. Well, they're right. Where did I get what, a bond? The Course in Miracles book. I just bought it off the internet. I can't. I think you can get it from its Foundation for Inner Peace. You can get it from the Foundation for Inner Peace, a non-for-profit organization who are the custodians of this material. What kind of miracle are you? Well, part of the same miracle that everybody else is. The miracle of life, you know? The miracle of consciousness, the magic of consciousness. That's what you are. When you started meditating, did you find it difficult to let go? Yes, at first I used to experience convulsions of energy through my body, and there was constant thoughts ruminating in my mind, constantly stories and stories and stories and stories and stories. It took me ages just to not get rid of the stories, but just to even get a bit of space between the thoughts in my head, and to have an awareness that they weren't me. And something cracked open one day in 2019 when I was in the depths of despair. I was meditating, just hearing the stories in my head, blah, 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 and then I just got this voice saying, "Don't worry, Tim, everything's always working out for you." And that's when I heard the voice of spirit again. And I hadn't heard the voice of spirit since I was 4 years old. I write about this in my book, but yeah, I did find it difficult to let go at first, but I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing, and now I slip into meditation with ease. And the conditioned minds, when you meditate, there's always, you'll hear a voice talking to you, "I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this." Sometimes you'll even get a compulsion to get up. You can only meditate for a minute. You can only quieten your mind for a minute at first. I put the timer on for 15 minutes, and at first I could only get through 1 or 2 minutes before I would wake up and be like, and I'd have to start again and practice again. It does take time to master it, but all you need to do is get to 15 minutes. And in that 15 minutes, you might only have 1 or 2 minutes of pure awareness, but that's all you actually need, hey? Is this me or something else talking in my mind? It's always good to ask that question, Jess. So when you're doing self-inquiry, you ask that. You say, "Who said that?" And then a voice will start talking into your head. And then you go, okay, well, who is aware of what's saying that? And you'll start to realize, hang on a minute, I'm not the voice in my head that's talking to me, pretending to be me. I'm the awareness of that voice. It's quite magical when you realize it. Meditation, Amelia, is just quietening your mind. Just quietening, being still. You can actually do meditation with your eyes open. You meditate when you're driving a lot of the time. Like, if you think about it, right? Sometimes you'll be driving and you'll just literally go from one suburb and you'll be 3 suburbs away and you won't even remember driving between those 3 suburbs. That's because you've been listening to the thoughts in your mind so much you've forgotten where you're even driving. That's a form of meditation as well. But meditation is slowing down enough to pay attention to the thoughts in your minds. That's how I define meditation. There's no right or wrong way of doing it either, by the way. Some people use sound bowls and listen to sound when they meditate. Some people, I prefer no sound at all. There's often songs going on in my head anyway. I believe we are all miracles. Life is a miracle. We all deserve to make more miracles in our life. Absolutely. Your voice has a Spanish accent. Were you born in a Spanish country or, because yeah, if that's the case, a lot of people dream in Spanish if they were born in a Spanish country, if English is not their initial language that they learned or whatever. Thank you so much for the follow, Carl, appreciate it. Thank you so much for everybody joining me as well. There's over 40 people here now, which is unusual for my lives. I don't normally get this big of an audience, so very much appreciate anybody who's joining. Does anybody want to make a comment, ask a question? I'm kind of running out of steam here. I've been on here for almost 2 hours, so I might stay for about another 10 or 15 minutes. Viewers are going down significantly, so that's good. We're just getting the people who want to be here and engage, which is great. So thank you so much. I might play a bit of sound bowl here while I just invite anybody to ask a question or make a comment about their awakening experiences or spirituality or anything of an esoteric nature. Thank you so much, Jess. Lovely to meet you. Hopefully I'll see you on another live. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me, then feel free to message me and we can organize a time on Zoom or something like that. Not everybody's ready for a one-on-one conversation, but yeah, if you want to talk about anything at any time, happy to do that. No worries. Anastasia, thank you for sharing the live. Appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to stay here for about another 10 minutes or so. I just like to let people know when I am going to be going because, yeah, it gives people an opportunity to ask another question or make a comment or, yeah, say hello or something like that. Otherwise, just enjoy the sound, eh? The primordial hum of the universe. Feel it in your body. Thanks, Tilly. Have a good night. It's spirit expressing itself through sound. That's why it's so relaxing. No worries, Jess. Thank you so much for your questions and engaging with me, your comments. I really appreciate it. You're the reason why I do these lives. I wouldn't do them without anybody to talk to, so thank you very much. You've helped me as well just by being here. I'll finish off by saying that I just want everybody here to know their own divinity, to know that you're a powerful creator made from love for love. You existed before this body, and you'll exist long after this body. You're not your body, you're free. Your spirit having a human experience. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing to fear here, and everything is in divine order. Yeah, I'm not really a sound practitioner. I've only got one sound bowl. There's plenty of other people who are doing sounds on YouTube, but I will actually upload this episode on YouTube maybe because I've really enjoyed this live. And I don't know, somebody might want to watch it. I've got 10 subscribers on there, so who knows? Anyway, I'm just grateful for the people who are here, people who have come and joined me for this live. I'm starting to get a little bit tired. Thank you so much, Nemi7. I appreciate your comment. I appreciate the support. My YouTube channel is just called Spirit Timothy. I'm pretty sure I could go and have a quick look, but I don't know how to pause the live. But I'm pretty sure it's called Spirit Timothy, or Spirit with Timothy. Either Spirit Timothy or Spirit with Timothy. You'll see my face on there anyway. You'll see, yeah. But yeah, I don't have many videos on there. I think I've actually uploaded a live on there from last time, but I don't know if anybody watched it. I thought I'm gonna upload them there as well, because yeah, it's good to have more than one platform, I think, but I'm not a YouTuber, so. There are lots of other people on YouTube. I think it could have been a good platform for me if I had started earlier or something, I don't know. But we'll leave it to, I don't know, the other people. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Does anybody have a question or a comment about spirituality, awakening, ascension, anything of an esoteric nature? Before I go, you never know, I might get a second win and stay a little bit longer, but otherwise I'm going to go in about 5 minutes. I've been on here for almost 2 hours now, so. Oh, thanks Anastasia, appreciate it. No worries, I'll upload this live when I can, maybe either tonight or later on, tomorrow or something. It's gonna be 2 hours, so I'd like to edit it, but I don't have time to do that. I might even go to the highlights section, because sometimes it sends you highlights of when most people commented or asked a question, and there's some nuggets in this live that I'm sure that I could learn from as well. Sometimes I don't even know what I say sometimes, because it doesn't come from me, it comes from spirit. Yes, good to reconnect with you as well. Thank you for your support. I know you've followed me for a long time. All right, well, I think I'm going to be off now. Unless anybody has anything pressing they want to ask me or they want to say. I feel like I give plenty of opportunities. No, that's right. I think the conversation's over. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm going to do another live again soon. Oh, hi, Lacey. How are you? Did you want to ask a question or make a comment about spirituality, waking up, anything of an esoteric nature? Or did you just want to say hello? No, not get anything back from Lacey, I don't think. Unless she's typing. Are you typing? I'll give you another minute or so. Sometimes I don't realize how long it takes to type a comment. I might get people in the box to chat at some point. I just don't know how to quite do that because I don't necessarily want randoms coming in and talking to me in the box for the whole live and then taking up the whole live. But I'd like to maybe find a way to engage with people rather than just through comments. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions about that, but yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna go in a minute because I've been on here for almost 2 hours. My eyes are starting to be like, well. Anyway, thank you everybody. I'm gonna go now, but enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll talk to you again later.